The silent film era is often referred to as the age of the silver screen. From the late 1800s to the late 1920s, movies were made with no synchronized sound or music, thus giving them the name silent movies.
The earliest motion picture was filmed in 1888 by Louis Le Prince and titled The Round Hay Garden Scene. It was 20 frames long and 2 seconds long. It showed 4 people walking in a garden. That was the beginning of the film industry we know today.
But silent films were very different from anything we see in the movie theater today.
Because the movies were silent, the actors really had to play up whatever was going on. They over-exaggerated reaction to things and emphasized facial expressions to body movements to show what the character was feeling. It was really melodramatic.
But not all silent films were dramas.
Then, of course, there were slapstick comedies. Most people are probably more familiar with this type of film because you had Charlie Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy, Our Gang, Harold Lloyd, people most of us have probably heard of. Also, the style can be appreciated today because comedy's comedy, and what was funny then is funny now.
Silent films were also presented to the public differently than movies today. Most small-town theaters had a pianist to provide accompaniment for the film, and some bigger theaters even had whole orchestras. The live music really added to the emotional atmosphere. Not only did they provide the background music, but also key sound effects ranging from the galloping of horses to the chirping of birds.
If you've ever seen a silent film, you can pick out the things that make them unique from movies today. A good example would be the intertitles. Intertitles are text that appears on the screen in between the action to show dialogue or comment on the plot. You never see them nowadays, but if silent films didn't have them, the audience would be lost.
The average movie ticket during the 20s was around 25 cents. But if you were in a big city in a very lavish theater, your ticket could have been as much as $10, not unlike today.
But of course, nobody would have paid to see a movie if there was no stars in it.
My personal favorite silent stars were Laurel and Hardy. I just found them hilarious. They were a comedy team made up of Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy, thus Laurel and Hardy. Laurel was very thin and Hardy was more on the plump side. They all in all starred in 32 short silent films, 40 sound films, 23 full-length films, and had cameos in 11 other movies. That's 106 movies the two did together.
Slapstick comedy was their style, along with many other stars of the day. Slapstick involves extreme physical cartoonish violence, such as having a python in your face or running into a brick wall.
Many of Laurel and Hardy's routines consisted of gags or physical arguments. They'd start somewhere, and after a series of complex actions, they'd end up in the same place they started.
died away. Not that sound in movies is a bad thing, I happen to love it. But it all started with silent film